he is an advocate and a legend and an OG in his space across all of our brands in our ecosystem, or as he loves to call it, the Decosystem. But before we start, I am going to do a little share my screen, because with everything that we do, we really should be doing this. So these are, if this is your first time to a call, and it shouldn't be, my name's Lisa Johnston. I'm a community member, just like most of you or everybody that's on this call. I am a node owner and a community member who is putting together these leadership calls, and we have the king of compliance, the man himself, who's going to be sharing with us. So if this is your first time, this is just a overview. This is actually details of our disclaimers. So please feel free to either take a screenshot, or if you're on your phone, just take a screenshot of it, or but have a read through it. Definitely, even if you've never read through this before, I encourage you to do so. At least take the time to read through it in its entirety, because, you know, where compliance is one of the things that us community members are very strong on. And so I'm not going to read that big one, but what I am going to do is I'm going to give you the disclaimer summary. This may contain forward-looking statements, no earnings claims or financial advice. The digital rewards are for utility. So DYOR, my favourite acronym, do your own research. The information provided is for education purposes, and nodes and blockchain are governed by the DGF, the Distributed Governance Framework. So I wanted to share that with you before we got started. And I also, for those of you who have never heard or met Jon Madsen, I really would just love to introduce him to you, because I'm genuinely excited for this one, guys. And we've got Jon Madsen with us today. And when it comes to legal, IP, compliance and protection, Jon is someone who's been instrumental in shaping and safeguarding the bigger picture of what we're building. He's the he's general counsel and chief IP counsel for Blockade United, which is our legal blockchain, working across our decentralized ecosystem. And as I said, he loves to call it Decosystem. So hashtag Decosystem, that is the new word. Supporting our blockchain communities globally with a strong focus on protecting innovation, enabling growth, and making sure things are structured the right way. Jon really brings a serious depth across corporate law, startups, emerging companies, litigation support, intellectual property, and global brand protection. And he truly understands this space at such a high level. On a personal note, I've had the pleasure to meet Jon a few times now. First time just over nearly 2 years ago in Puerto Rico the first time, and then at the end of the year again in Kauai, and back into Puerto Rico again just last month. And he's not just a wealth of knowledge, he's an absolute legend on the dance floor. I'd just like to share that with you. I've always appreciated our conversations, Jon, and really everyone, the clarity that he brings. So if you're serious about your business, about building, growing the community, and really understanding the structures behind what we're part of, I really encourage you guys, lean in. Jon, so grateful to have you here. I know that your time is so precious. You've got so many balls in the air. Thank you once again, and I'm going to hand over to you, my friend.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Lisa. I don't know if I'm a legend on the dance floor, but I do like having fun when there's a little music going on. Let me see. I actually have some slides, so let me share my window, and let's see this one. Okay, can you guys see that? There you go. All right, so
yes, we can. Thanks, Jon.
As Lisa said, I'm with Blockade, and today we're going to talk about decentralization, and it is central to everything we do, because what makes this endeavor so cool is that every technology, every effort, every program, all of the sales efforts that we try and do, we try to go like this. We try to decentralize it all. So instead of one central company that controls everything, that controls the data, that controls the products, that hosts it all, we try and say we want to give this to everybody through the community. So today's discussion, I kind of want to talk about that. So high level, you understand it, and then why it's important, and that'll help you as you're talking to other people. So we'll start running through these terms. The first term is DeFi. You notice all these terms start with D. So it's decentralized finances right there. Financial services, lending, borrowing, trading that operate on public blockchains, removing the need for traditional intermediaries like banks. Okay, so there's that concept. You use the blockchain and you don't need the centralized intermediaries. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to send large amounts of money. It takes a long time. It's really hard to do because those intermediaries, they want to make sure it's right and they make it hard. But if you ever send large amounts of value of cryptographic assets, instant. It goes right from one wallet address to the other. And that's very, very powerful. Second one, digital identification, right? This is another one that starts with the D. Solutions that enable users to manage their own digital identities and personal data through cryptographic keys, eliminating third-party reliance for login, right? So you don't need third parties to help you log in and do something. For example, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but how many times does it say log in through Google or log in through Facebook or log in through this? That's what you call Web 2. So if you hear the difference between Web 2 and Web 3, Web 2 is logging in through centralized providers because Google controls a lot of things that are helpful, but you got to trust that Google's doing it for the right reasons. Third one, DEX. A DEX means decentralized exchange. It's a peer-to-peer marketplace allowing cryptocurrency traders to swap digital assets directly from their wallets without intermediaries or central authority, okay? Here's one thing I will say. There are centralized exchanges. There are exchanges like Coinbase or Binance. Coinbase has some decentralized side applications that you can use, but Coinbase itself is a centralized cryptographic exchange. I'll just share this. I had some of my cryptographic assets tied up in Coinbase for several months because they were like, what are these? Why are you moving these? How come you can't move these? If someone comes onto Coinbase and they need to, get some fiat dollars and then buy some Ethereum, it takes 10 to 14 days for that to happen because they are centralized. Whereas a DEX is decentralized. It's an exchange that all happens with an algorithm. It's peer-to-peer. It comes on, you move your assets, it moves through the exchange, and it goes back out. No one controls it. That's really important. The next one is a DApp, a decentralized application. So these are apps that run on peer-to-peer networks. For example, just yesterday, we launched another blockchain in the Decosystem called Adventure World. It's a gaming blockchain, and you can play on these games with decentralized applications. You don't have to run through centralized like cloud service providers or centralized servers. It's a decentralized application, and that is really cool. And then lastly is a DAO. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. This one is cool. This is a company that isn't controlled by individual people or individual entity owners, usually called members in an LLC or a structure like that. A DAO is decentralized, and one of the things that a DAO has to have is a voting contract, a smart contract on chain that allows members of that community to vote and do things. And so that is really important because as community members, in these different communities, we can go in and effectuate governance of how we want these DAO companies to work. So those are a few words. Now here's one that's very unique to us. It's called DGF. What does DGF stand for? Distributed Governance Framework. The governance framework is set forth by the charter. So every community, Rally, Win, Element. I got an Element hat on. I got a Switch hoodie on. I often wear the swag of the stuff. So I call myself a brand cross-dresser because I wear different stuff every day. But they all operate with the charter. This is cool to know. The charter is like the Constitution that sets up how the community is going to work. It sets up a distributed governance framework, a framework for how people can get things done. It's like the bylaws of a homeowners association. The DGF allows us to make sure that when we want to effectuate change as a community, we have a rule book by which we're going to do that. And so the charter is that. The charter sets forth how we go forth doing that. In fact, the DAO, the company, for example, I could use Rlink. Rlink DAO LLC is a company, and it operates under the governance of the Rally Node Network community. The community governs the company based on the voting capability that is set forth under the DGF by the charter. So that's really cool as well. This is all new. This is all for decentralization. And lastly, my favorite word, Decosystem. This is another thing. So for all of you who are in the Win community and are associated with Connect, which is Connect United DAO, Connect is the company that allows us to go out and for multiple different types of community-based DAOs, go forth and talk about how cool they are. And so a decosystem is a nerdy word, kind of stupid. A lot of people don't like it. If you know who Trace is, he hates it. But it's a really super cool concept because it stands for decentralized ecosystem. So this is another very important thing for you guys to know. Connect is its own separate community. It's its own separate business. It's its own separate DAO. It is different than Element. It's different than Switch. It's different than Adventure World that just launched yesterday and is like this baby community that just got going. All of those are separate, independent communities, and yet they share certain things. Number one, they all share the concept of a DGF and a charter, which is cool because they can benefit from that through the Decosystem knowledge, and they all share similar tech stack. They share similar blockchain capability. And because of that, if Rally does something really cool, then the rest of the communities in the Decosystem can go, that's cool. We can vote to adopt that into our blockchain parameters as well. So that's Decosystem. And I put my little thing, this is Decosystem man. And it's awesome because as a Decosystem, we can grow. So what is the Decosystem? Here it is. It's a decentralized, there are several decentralized projects in the Blockbot metaverse. Now, one of the disclaimers that we talk about are forward-looking statements. If you guys are looking at your screens, you'll see communities on here like Air or Genius. They don't exist yet. They have been thought about. And in the Blockbot metaverse, people have talked about maybe we should do that. Like Wander, that's a travel-based community based on blockchain-based services. It's forward-looking, okay? But we can still talk about it because they will share that technology and they'll share the same DGF framework. So if you look in the bottom right, Adventure World just came alive yesterday. The blockchain mainnet is live. It's launched. Elevate Scan, which is a block explorer that looks at all the native blockchains. Each one of these has their own blockchain. Green, Liberty, Galvin, Grow, Element. They all have their own blockchain, and Elevate Scan, just like Etherscan, is a block explorer that allows you to go and see what's happening on the chain. Everyone can see it. That's another shared technology that these Decosystem projects have. And I want to point out one other thing about this image. Connect is at the top because Connect has a shared service license agreement to go and share and sell products based on all of these DAOs, all of these communities. So it's at the top, and Foundations is at the bottom with an action chain. Foundations is the decentralized development group that's developing the technology that everyone is using. So that's good to know. And that's why they're at the top and the bottom. So as you understand that, you'll get the concept of that. All these decentralized companies, and look at the little image in the middle. That is Blockbot, okay? One thing to appreciate is AI is at the core of all of this. In a sense, every DAO can be run and managed by an AI as effectuated by vote. So if we vote to do something, we're voting in what's called a smart contract. A smart contract is a computer-based algorithm that says if this comes in, this happens, and this happens. Notice in that whole process, not a single human involved. That's powerful. So Blockbot in the middle enables us to take the power of AI and take decentralized projects and take the human centralized aspects out. No government, no company, no community, like no individual can control this. The community does because AI is placed in the middle. So that's why it's called the decentralized Blockbot metaverse. They all share that Blockbot technology. So now let's talk about my favorite concept, compliance. Why is it important to talk about compliance? Well, I'll share this. Compliance does not foster innovation, okay? That previous slide, that did not come because of compliance, okay? And it's been growing and it's been taking root and it is cool and we are a part of it and it's growing fast. Compliance doesn't foster innovation. Trust does. You can't sustain long-term innovation, for example, in a climate of distrust. I love this. So when we're looking at this metaverse, we need to be able to trust that the technology and the communities and the algorithms and the AI are in place in a way that is compliant. And then when we trust that, let's run with it. Let's go. It can take us in so many cool places. So that's why we want to maintain that level of trust. Now, here's a cool concept. Please note, blockchains are trustless. Okay? Why are they? Doesn't that sound wrong? Like, why would you want something that's trustless? That doesn't make sense. But this is the central point of that. In a decentralized world, the central thing is blockchains are trustless. The reason they're trustless is because they eliminate the need to trust any central authority, any intermediary, any person. Instead, all of the security, all of the transactions, everything that happens because of the protocol and the transparent cryptographic parameters. And so participants can trust the code and the consensus mechanisms of the blockchain, and they don't have to trust that there's a human behind there, or that Google's database is accurate, or that Facebook isn't going to share the photos I posted 10 years ago that I probably shouldn't have. It's all controlled by the algorithm. It's all controlled peer-to-peer on the blockchain. It is trustless. So why does compliance matter? Because we're the human part of that. We need to maintain trust in the trustless system. So here's the final word that starts with a D. Disclaimers, okay? Lisa started with these. Disclaimers are not get out of jail free cards. Rather, Disclaimers are guidelines to engender and maintain trust. Okay, so if you're okay, Lisa, I'd like to go through these just a little bit, and maybe we'll just go through the summary. When we're talking about technology, we can say, hey, guess what? This NFT we're working on is designed to do this. When we were talking last fall about match NFTs, they're really cool. A match NFT is an NFT, which is a non-fungible cryptographic token. It's unique. It's the only one in the world that has a smart contract embedded within its technology. So it takes fungible tokens, which are just tokens, one token's worth the same as another token, you can do the same with them, and it locks them up in a contract. No human involved. That is really cool. When we were talking about them last summer, we were like, we want to do this. We want to make this. And guess what? We had no idea how we were going to do that. And I talk with the developers every day, but we can say that we're making it. And that's why we want to say in our disclaimers, we might make some forward-looking statements. What that is saying is we're working on it. We don't have it yet, okay? So please note that. We can say we're working on something, but we don't have it yet. Another really big important thing that we never want to say, because we never want to say, if you invest in Switch by buying a Switch node and you run your node and it makes Switch digital rewards, you're going to make a ton of money. Because we don't know what the Switch digital reward is going to be worth. We can't control that. What can we control? As a community, we can control how cool the products are that Switch is putting out. For example, some of you on the call might be beta card holders of the new Switch reward card that's going to come out. That we can control. We can talk about how cool that card is all day long. So I'm going to take my hand, and if you're looking at me on the screen, I'm drawing a circle in the air. This is a blockchain, okay? Blockchains by nature are closed. It's a peer-to-peer network of thousands of computers, 10 or 2 computers or 10,000, it doesn't matter. They're closed. And it's really important to know that the information, the data on that chain, it's called a blockchain because it chains blocks of data together. And all 10,000 computers have that. But the cool thing about blockchains is to make transactions on the chain, it costs a little bit of gas fee. It costs some fees. Those are called gas fees. And gas fees make the blockchain spin. Think about this. Watch my finger. It's kind of like a flywheel. And that's how most blockchains make their money. Ethereum, if you've ever transacted anything in an ERC20 token, it's spinning. It's going like this. Bitcoin, gas fees. That's really cool. However, one thing that's different for our whole ecosystem, as I'm running my finger like this, is we have something else. Come in from the side like this, we have revenue. We don't just rely on the gas fees. We have revenue. So the Switch reward card generates revenue for using it. The Galvin Plus app uses revenue so that we can utilize the app. The Grow meat that you buy from Grow is revenue that comes in. So now we've got this normal flywheel with a closed blockchain, and then we've got revenue that comes in from the side, which is so cool because we don't have to rely just on the transactions of the blockchain. Our blockchains can be agnostic. Our revenue can allow our products and services to grow and thrive on their own. The Rally blockchain can thrive because our Link Studio, which is what we're using right now, can be a revenue generating on a monthly subscription to bring that in. That we can talk about all day long with those that were out there, because we're not just focused on, oh, is the value of the Galvin Eyes token going to go up or down? We don't care. What we care about is when I log on to that Galvin app and I do a health check, is that helping my mental health? Yes, that's where the revenue comes in. So now let me tell you one other thing that you need to know about. Blockchains are closed. Keep this circle in mind. You can even do this circle with people you're talking with. They're closed as opposed to fees generally, and they're closed as considering data. How do you get data onto a blockchain? It's really hard. Usually the blockchain just transfers data back and forth on all the transactions. Well, how you get data onto a blockchain from outside is usually through what's called an oracle. And that's what our nodes, when we talk about wind nodes and rally nodes and element nodes, our nodes act as oracles and in many ways as arbiters of the data that's going to come onto chain. So a blockchain like Bitcoin, I'm running my circle right here. What allows the data to go onto chain is called proof of work. When you run your Bitcoin miner and you do that work and you provide a certain hash rate to the system, then you're rewarded and you earn Bitcoin. Great. That's really cool. Ethereum used to be proof of work, but now it is switched to proof of stake. When you stake a certain number of Ethereum, you can run one of the nodes that's on the chain to make Ethereum work. So when you prove that, that's their consensus. Our whole Decosystem runs on a consensus mechanism. This is really cool, called proof of action. We're proving that people are doing things. When you use your G+ app to track your health, that's an action that can be tracked, and our nodes help get that action from outside the chain to on chain, because every day that distribution of action that goes and is recorded on chain has to be signed by our nodes. Our nodes are what help get that action from off the chain to on the chain. And this is the other cool thing about the nodes. Because we run the nodes that help get the actions onto the chain, we're rewarded just like Bitcoin miners. So we have two cool things. We have smart contracts, which are like Ethereum blockchains, which can do things algorithmically. And we have the concept of mining. Not a single rally digital reward or element digital reward has ever existed on the earth, but that it was earned. We had to earn it. You had to run your node. You had to, for a Galvin, you had to use your Galvin G+ app. You had to earn it through action. No one has just had a Switch reward card, a Switch digital reward just minted and printed to them. It's all earned. So our Decosystem combines the concept of earning rewards like Bitcoin with the power of smart contracts that take humans out of the mix. We've got both of those. And then because we have revenue for real products, we don't have to just rely on the transaction fees. We can have revenue and we can transfer our digital rewards to Ethereum chain, to Base Network, to Binance. And we can transfer those anywhere because we're blockchain agnostic. Our chain is designed for our products, which are blockchain based. So all of that comes into, there's no earnings claims or financial advice, but we can talk all day long about how cool the Arling Studio software is, or how cool the Element mining NFTs are. Like, those are really cool. We can talk about those all day long. Now, why does that matter? Because the digital rewards that are native to our blockchains, they're different. Like if you talk about Bitcoin, a Bitcoin, and you call this a coin, notice we don't call ours a coin. We call it a digital reward because it's earned. You're rewarded that coin for being earned. Bitcoin can do two things. It can hold value, and right now it holds a lot of value, right? Between 60 to 80 US $100,000 every day, right? That holds value. The second thing a coin can do, a digital cryptographic asset coin can do, is you can transact it. You can move it. That's it. That's all you can do with Bitcoin. We've built in the concept of utility. We can use our Rally digital rewards to utilize them in the Rally ecosystem to pay for Arling Studio, to pay for Opperly. Those rewards are a little bit like Delta Sky Miles. You can use a Delta Sky Mile to buy a Delta flight. You can use a Rally digital reward to pay for Opperly and use Opperly. And you can earn it while you're making presentations. So our digital rewards have utility. They're not just coins. You're never going to hear us call them coins. They're not. Sometimes we'll call them tokens because you can bridge them to other blockchains, and those are called tokens. But really, they're digital rewards for utility. Do your own research. Actually, Lisa covered that really great, and so I don't need to spend much time on it. But when you're talking with people to maintain trust, tell them, don't take my word for it. I love this. I'm using it. This is cool. This is going to change the world because it takes the Googles out of there. I always say this. Do you have Google Photos or do you have Apple iCloud? And most, like 90% of the people in the world say, yes, I have Google Photos or Apple iCloud. And then I say, who owns your photos? In a sense, Google does or Apple does because they can turn it off. They can control it. But we have blockchains that utilize decentralized data storage. So you own it. You control it through your private keys. And so I'm going to do two more things with my fingers, right? So if you look at normal web communications, Web 2, security goes like this. It goes from one user to another user. It's called symmetric encryption. And a lot of times it's like you send your password, these guys know your password, or you send your key, and it goes from here to here, okay? It goes like that. Blockchains are asymmetric. Watch my hands. You got a public wallet address, and in the end, 5 years from now, we might not be talking about wallet addresses. We might just be talking about your account and your private account. I like the word private because in order for me to send something to somebody else, I have to have an asymmetric transaction. It has to go from here to here. It's my private key that matters. No government has my private key. Connect doesn't have your private key. Only you do. So when you tell people to do your research, make sure they know that it's the private key that matters. That seed phrase, that 12-word phrase, we do not ask of it. We don't know it. If you lose your seed phrase, we can't give it to you. No one else in the community has it. That's what makes it powerful because now you control it. You don't have to rely on Google for it or a government for it. You control it because it's asymmetric, okay? So think about that. Normal web, you have to trust Google's login. You have to trust Facebook's login. With blockchain, you control it because the transactions go like this to that. Got it? And so just like what I'm saying now, the information that I'm providing is for educational purposes, okay? I'm not trying to do this so that you're going to be made rich. You could go out and show your hands like this to someone else. Dude, it's like a flywheel. It goes like this and doesn't matter. What you're trying to do is educate people because the more people know that we're decentralizing everything, the more they realize, wow, the power lies in me. The power lies in us. One of the buzzwords that we often say is, we own this because we do. We own it. So we want to keep it like that. And then the last one is the nodes and blockchains are governed by the DGF framework. So no matter what, and this is interesting, I will share this. Our Link DAO LLC may crumble. The business might fail. But the blockchain, the Rally blockchain, that's governed by the community. The Rally community could technically vote to have another DAO join the business, join the club, and that other DAO could do it. And our link could fail. But the DGF is bigger than that. We own it. Quite frankly, like Green often talks about, if Green works and we truly can power the world by people using the decentralized model, Green's like, dude, we could build up our batteries so big, we could buy a Tesla gigafactory and get batteries and do solar and blah, blah, blah. Could the community do that? Yes. Yes. It's not just about those DAOs because the DGF empowers decentralized framework. So when you run through your disclaimers, and I hope you do, I want you to, in fact, if you don't, you're being non-compliant. When you have a meeting and you're sharing slides, put these two slides up. Put this slide up and this slide up. And by the way, if you're doing a grow specific meeting, I'm assuming, Lisa, we're all talking to win people. So you could do a grow specific meeting. Put the disclaimers for grow. They have them on their website. Now, most often, we're talking about people that are doing it for everyone in the whole ecosystem. You can use the win ones for that because that works. But run through the slides because the disclaimer is about trust. So the more people trust that what we're building is a decentralized ecosystem, the more they'll learn that blockchains are trustless. And that's the power of it. Because now we don't have to trust humans or governments or anyone else. The blockchain does it for us, and we can sit there and let the flywheel spin, 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 and capitalize on the revenue, and the communities can just grow. So there's my presentation, Lisa. And now if you want to open it up for questions, that'd be totally cool.
Jon, that was amazing. It was actually even better the second time round when I listened to it. Thank you so much. It was so good. The comments, the feedback in the comments have just been fabulous, and yeah, everybody's loved it. I've actually got a couple of questions first up that I wanted to ask you. I'll ask you one first off. So, Jon, for people who are actively building, what would you say are the biggest mistakes that you've seen people making in this space when it comes to compliance and structure of the Decosystem? And how can they position themselves early to avoid this?
Yeah, I hope I conveyed how cool the underlying concept and tech is. A lot of times you don't see that. I would say the biggest mistake that people make is they focus on the utility token. They focus on the digital reward. They're like, oh, Rally's going to go to the moon. You never want to say that. Rally will do what Rally does as we build awesome products. So the biggest mistake is taking your focus off the products. These products are dang cool. Like, think about how weird and cool it is that you can actually own an individual cow on a ranch halfway across the earth, and it's yours through an NFT. No one else on the planet owns that cow through a cattle NFT. And I'm just using this as an example. That is cool because you can individually own other things. I'll make a forward-looking statement on this call. Soon you will be able to own individual ownership in mines. You'll have a portion of a mine, and that can be yours, and you can choose to keep the gold or the lithium or the cobalt in the ground, or you can choose on your portion to get it out of the ground, and you can choose to refine it, and you can choose to sell it. Do you see how cool that technology is? So that's the biggest mistake. Don't worry about the tokens. They're going to do what they're going to do. Focus on the products, and as you do that, watch what happens. Like, that's what Apple does. That's what makes Apple cool. They focus on their cool products. We have cool products. We have combined products with blockchain to make it the best combination I've ever seen. So that's what I would focus on.
That's awesome, Jon. Thank you so much. And so as our Decosystem continues to grow globally, because, you know, I feel, forward-looking statement, I feel that's certainly the way it's going to head. What are the key things our community should be paying attention to now from a legal and protectional standpoint, just to really make sure that we're building something that's not just excited, but sustainable in the long term?
Yeah, I'll use Twitch as an example, but I'll answer it first. Nearly every country on Earth wants to protect the citizens of that country. So they all have and should have like laws or regulations in place to make sure that people aren't laundering money, committing schemes like pyramid schemes, or securities frauds violations where people are investing in things. It's a total sham, it's a Ponzi, and then it falls down. Every country in the world should have those in place, which is very important. And quite frankly, it's been the biggest battle for Switch. Let's see. There it is. There's Switch. Switch has fought this. And why is Switch fighting it harder than anyone else? Because they're the DeFi blockchain, right? They're blending what we call traditional fiat currency, dollars, euros, yen, pesos. They're blending those traditional government sanctioned currencies with cryptographic assets, and they're bridging that. And so it has been hard for banks in various countries to come to terms with the fact that crypto is a totally new way of doing things. Why do we call it crypto? Because it's cryptographically encrypted, right? That asymmetric encryption allows it to be cryptographically encrypted. That's why we call it crypto, by the way. And banks have had a hard time. Switch has fought. They've been debanked multiple times because banks are like, oh, we don't trust, blah, blah, blah. The cool thing is Switch is finally winning that battle, because banks themselves are starting to see the value of a trustless system. They're starting to realize, whoa, people don't want to have to trust me anymore. They want to trust the system. So banks are coming around to it. So as you're to circle back and answer your question, governments are taking time. We as a Decosystem spent a lot of time several years ago with the state of Wyoming to help create the concept of a DAO. It is brand new. And many governments are starting to see that. They're starting to realize when you have a trustless algorithm at the top, you can now have organizations that work like that. So it's happening, but the key to look at is to make sure that there's no Ponzi, there's no thing that's going to go away. And we in fact, for years, we were begging the SEC in the United States, we're like, give us guidance. Tell us what to do. Don't just sue people. Tell us what to do. And lately, they've been giving us more guidance, which is cool. And by the way, I'll share this other thing. You'll notice in our charters, I feel like I'm talking too much, that the charters are very Swiss-based. And Node Governance SAR, which is like a real estate agent on behalf of each of the blockchain communities. Like, for example, if we wanted to get list on an exchange, who goes and does that? Who talks for Rally? Well, you needed someone. So in the charter, we say Node Governance can go talk on behalf of Rally, or Node Governance can go talk on behalf of Element. And it's like an agent. We did that under Swiss law because under Swiss law, that rule book, those regulations in Switzerland were set up several years ago. So we were like, we at least want to play by a rule book. So we'll grab it under Switzerland, and it's still working for us. So we're going to keep that. And if we want to change it to the United States or Australia in the future, the community can vote on it and we can do it. And that's the beauty of a DGF. It's like our own government system. It's our own ability to work through that. So there's the answer to that one.
Oh, mic drop. That's awesome, John. Anne just popped a question in the chat, which says, referring to our business, and you referred to sales, and we told we can earn commissions. Can you explain how this isn't MLM or network marketing, and how our sales commissions relate to the blockchain and the compliance? That's important to explain with all the changes. Roll on, I don't know what that is, out with token value, so that it doesn't sound like a scam, i.e. we get paid commission, but we can't access it at the value that it's paid at the moment. So I imagine that's the discrepancy between Elevate and, say, an external exchange, John?
Yeah. So, and by the way, this is actually really cool, and this is a great question, Ange, because it highlights the most important thing. So we talk about smart flow. Let me share this really quick. And it doesn't matter. Let's use Rally. When revenue comes in, let's say it comes in as euros, I don't care. When it comes in under smart flow, and remember, we're trying to be all algorithmic, and this is the answer to your question. When it comes in, the first thing that happens is it's converted to Rally, because we as a community want everything to go on chain, because the blockchain is the trustless system. Forward-looking statement. In fact, I saw an image of it today. We're working to finish a dashboard that goes to the blockchain, uses the data from the Blockchain Explorer, and shows how all of the revenue coming in is converted to Rally. And then once it's converted to Rally, commissions are paid out by an algorithm. It's pretty cool. It comes in. In fact, I think it's in the charter now. I think in February we voted on it. It comes in and the algorithm goes, this goes to that, and this goes to this, and this goes to that, and it just goes. And it moves into those wallets, which is cool because it's open and transparent on the blockchain, which is really cool. So that's why we're building that, and we want to see all of that transparency. Blockchains are also immutable. Think of this word. Immutable means you can't change it. Like right now, Google could come in and change something and I couldn't stop them because they control their own database. Blockchains are peer-to-peer. You'd have to control all 10,000 computers at the same time. So that makes them unhackable, because to hack one, you have to hack all, because they have to have consensus, if you remember. So that's really cool. We're trying to build things so that it's unhackable and immutable. So that's one thing I want you to know is commissions are paid by an algorithm. We're taking the humans out of it. And we want to make, as soon as we can, I wish we had 10,000 more developers, but we want to finish that dashboard so everyone can log in and see it. And then the second, and it's coming, that's a forward-looking statement. There you go. And then the second thing is, right now, I will answer the question about the discrepancy is we do not want to be dependent on other cryptographic assets. So right now, Ethereum is the gold standard of everything but Bitcoin. All of the different blockchains, all of the altcoins are based on an Ethereum pair, meaning you pair Ethereum versus something, or you can have even what are called stable coins, USDT, USDC, but those still are associated with Ethereum pairs. So when you look at an index, and an index is a platform that looks at prices of trading pairs, and it just lists them, and it uses algorithms to do that, and it uses people to do that, by the way. It takes those and it gives the trading pairs. Right now, a lot of the communities have trading pairs. We don't set them up. You guys could go set up your trading pairs if you want. You could create a Rally Dogecoin pair. Go do it. It would be cool. I'd probably trade into it because it sounds fun for me. Or a Rally Pepe coin, or there's Fart coin. That would be even better. Rally Fart coin, whatever. The indexes pick up all those trading pairs. One of the best ones is called Dex Screener, because remember, we don't want to be beholden to any centralized figures. So we want the Rally token to have the value, not Ethereum. So what we've done is one of the Decosystem blockchain brands is Elevate, and they have a token, and they're the trading brand. They're the trading community. They have node software coming out that is awesome. It sets trades, it shows markets, it does all this cool stuff. And they're a decentralized community. They have a utility token called the Elevate token. We decided we don't want to base ours on Ethereum. We want to base ours on Elevate. And we created a trading pair model where we're trading tons of native Rally, native Grow, native Element. We're trading that against Elevate and creating those pairs. And the DEX screeners are slowly picking those up because those trading pairs have a trading value. We didn't create the value. They have a value. And that value of those trading pairs, which is high volume, lots of Elevate trading against Rally or Grow or Elevate, they have the higher value. And what we're doing is we are training the indexes to see the value of our tokens, not other tokens. So we're purposely utilizing trading pairs that do that. And I could create a trading pair right now using Elevate that I own, or I could trade a trading pair, like I said, for Fartcorn. And ultimately, none of these pairs we can control. That's the cool thing. But what we want to do is make sure the value is in the Rally token, not in Ethereum. We don't want it traded against that. And then the last piece is, when we go to these exchanges, we don't want Coinbase to control the value of our tokens. We could be on Coinbase and other exchanges right now if we gave them billions of tokens and said, hey, check out our trading volume and look what we're doing. Our trading volume is huge, by the way. Just in the last 2 months, the amount of Rally and Grow and Element that have been trading is crazy. We're not going to give that to Coinbase because now Coinbase controls it. We're going to keep it on the decentralized exchanges, the DEXs, and our trading volume itself will organically be picked up by Coinbase and by Binance and all of these things. And so that's why we've set it that way. And ultimately, the value will settle because these indexes will start to be like, wow, here it is. And this one will come and it'll settle to an index price that's everywhere. Just like what happened with Ethereum in the early days, just like what happened with Bitcoin. And so we're doing the same thing because we want to be decentralized. So that's the main reason.
That's fantastic, John. Thank you for that explanation. That was phenomenal. Angie's asked another question. Are the words business and commission compensation plan correct and compliant in relation to blockchain?
Interesting. Compensation plan, I wouldn't use that, but you could, because as long as the compensation plan is based on the smart contract and the smart flow, great. It's a smart contract, smart flow plan. Cool. Use it all the way. You can use business, because remember, all of these are true businesses. Like Rlink is a business. Switch Reward Card is a business. Element United DAO LLC is a business. The cool thing is we own them now. So this is so cool. This is Wild West. This is community owned and governed businesses. So you can use the term business. And I forgot what the other one was. What was it, Lisa?
Compensation plan, commission compensation plan.
Commission.
Yeah, just business commission compensation plan. You covered it.
Yeah, you can definitely use the term commission because it's based on the smart flow. Comes in, it's immediately converted to Rally. Boom, boom, boom. Commission comes out. That you can definitely do.
Excellent, thank you. The next one's from Leanne. Is the smart flow turned on yet? And if not, when? Any ideas, please?
Yes, smart flow is turned on. So commission, it comes through the smart flow. So it comes in. The very first thing we are doing, I'll use Rally again. I don't know, I just kept using it today. I could use Element. And when something comes in, let's say someone wants to invest in a mining certification NFT. A lot of the mines are coming in and it's a big mine and they pay for a certification. And let's say it's $1 million payment and it comes in euros because it's a mine based in Europe. Okay, the very first thing that happens is there's a conversion. It goes into Element native reward. If there's a commission involved, it'll just come straight out because that commission is based into the algorithm. And then it goes through and it pays off the operational expenses. And the remainder, don't forget, I should have covered this early. These are great questions. The remainder flows into, through SmartFlow, the battery, right? And we just voted in batteries, and our developers are developing the battery protocol so that extra element can sit in the battery all day long. And the reason why it can is because it's not a stock. It's like Tesla can go buy back stock and hold Tesla stock all day long. What Tesla can't do is print and mint stock like it's money. Element can hold and keep Element digital rewards all day long because Element didn't print them. Every Element digital reward was earned. So when the revenue comes back in through the utility of the token that comes in, pays commissions, pays operational expenses, the rest flows into a battery. And just like I was saying with green, Element's battery can build up over time. This is a forward-looking statement to the point where Element can go to a mine that's just basically pillaging the earth and pillaging the people. Element can buy the mine and then make the mine compliant and shut down half of the mine and reclaim half of the mine. Element can do that with the resources that build up in the battery, and the community can vote to govern and control that. So long answer, but I forgot I wanted to put batteries in there. Yes, SmartFlow is already going. We're working on coding up all of the stuff so it can pull it from the blockchain and display it in a dashboard so all of us can just look at it and see where it goes all the time. And by the way, you can right now look at it. When you see a transaction come in, it's a blockchain. So you could go to the Elevate Scan Block Explorer and you can see it come in. You can see it be converted. You can watch it. It's just that you have to do it all manually right now. So that's what we're coding up so we can all just see it. So very cool.
That was awesome. So much goodness in this, John. I'm loving it. Thank you very, very much. I'm also mindful that we're getting close to the top of the hour and I want to honour your time. just got 2 more questions that I'll ask, and if there's any more after that, we might hold it off and you guys can send them to me and I can pass it on to John and have him answer. But Angie's asked one more. Angie's the queen of questions, and she's the winner chicken dinner with the question. So how is it decided who makes the changes, i.e. The move between being paid at coin market cap price? I think she's referring to commissions again, and you may have already answered this, but who makes the decision on if we're paid at the coin market cap price or the Elevate price? Who decides, and does that require? Who decides what requires a vote? Sorry, I misread that.
Yeah. Those can be voted on by the community. And right now, when it first went into effect, there was, I don't remember, there was a vote long ago, and it went in. That's when we first changed the commission structure. It might have been October. Not last year, but maybe the year before. I can't remember. There was a vote that voted on the commission structure, and that commission structure is based on liquidity pools. And so the liquidity pools that have the most volume right now are the Elevate pools. Now we could go and we could vote, we could make a proposal to change it to the lower indexes like the CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko pools. I wouldn't vote for it. There's no way, because then we're going back to the point where we're dependent on the price of ETH against our pools. What we want to do right now is have all of that commission come in, all of the revenue come in, and everything be focused on like the Element token, the Element utility price, or the Rally utility price. And because we put lots of pools, lots of liquidity against pools other than ETH, that puts the price way more on our native token. So that's what I'd like to do. That's what I would vote for. However, to answer your question, a proposal can be put out to say, I say we go the other way. I say we go to lower pools. We look at like ETH pools, and then we can propose it. We can vote on it, and we could do that if we wanted to. Because that's the power of the DGF and the voting smart contracts. We could totally do it. I wouldn't vote for that personally. That's just me, but it can be proposed.
Hashtag we own this, hey, John?
Yeah, totally.
Now, there's 3 more questions that have popped in the comments. John, are you okay to go for a little bit longer?
I am. This is great. I love this. This is a good crew. So definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, we've got one from Sean, and he's asked, on the liquidity pool topic, I wonder how we end up with real world value back to USDT eventually via something like Rally Elevate Pool, which are both community based.
Haha. Trick question. I'll tell you. This is why I'm going to call it a trick question. The real world value is Rally, is Element. That's the real world value. 20 years ago, if I would have said, I have 10,000 of these little digital things called Bitcoins, no value at all. None. No real world value. So that goes back to what we're trying to do. We want value in the native digital reward. For every one of these, we want value in the Grow digital reward. We want value in the Galvan Eyes digital reward. So that's where we're purposely doing things to put the value and the focus on the native digital reward, because that's why they have that utility. Now, when you're talking about real world value, let me talk about one thing that's really cool. There's a concept called real world assets. And these are things that are existent in the world, and they have a value, and that value can have a value based on rubles or token or yen or dollars. And those real world assets have some kind of value. Let's just say it's gold. Gold has a price. Right now, you can display the price of gold in euros or dollars or Bitcoin. A real world asset has a value. Our blockchains, this is the cool thing. Our blockchains are designed to capture real world value. So I'll use Element again. Element, forward-looking statement, is working on the tokenization of real world assets. So Element already owns portions of gold mines and other asset mines throughout the world. And they can take those assets and they can tokenize the real world assets, and they're calling those in-ground assets. Remember, Element's like, why take it out of the ground? That's the best gold vault in the world. You know it's there. The cool thing about technology now, and I'm just using Element as an example, because you could do the same thing with real estate. You could do the same thing with vehicles. You can do the same thing with software applications. All of those are real world assets. But let's get back to Element, because this is what our chains do. I'm getting a little excited. Our native chains allow us to do this. But Element, you can take that asset, and now with the technology, different than 30, 40 years ago, you know where the gold is. You know how deep it is. You know how much there is. You know it's going to take 22 years and $7 billion to dig it up out of the ground and refine it and actually get it somewhere, and usually just stick it in another vault. So what Element's going to say is, that is the vault. And now you own a piece of that vault, and we can exchange the digital complement of that real world asset electronically on chain. If I asked this question 300 years ago, were people buying and selling things using treasury notes, US dollars, euros? They weren't. What were they doing? A farmer would come to town with a bushel of wheat, and he would exchange it for a bottle of whale oil. He might get home a week later, exchange the whale oil for some iron so that he could build something. That's called bartering. This is so cool where we are. Our Decosystem is focused on digital bartering. Grow is meat. Element is everything in the ground, all of the elements. Switch reward card is all the banking and financial instruments. Like Rally is all conferencing, all those communication issues. All of that can be bartered against each other. And so back to how we've set it up, we want our digital rewards to play this way and not go that way. So the real value is in our digital rewards. And I want you to see that. It's so big. That's what we're building. Because honestly, the dollar might go to crap, or the euro might go to crap, but we can still trade and barter the value of our digital rewards that aren't just based on speculation. For the last 15 years, crypto has been based on speculation. Everyone knows now crypto is based on innovation. What have we innovated? Products, real things, action, proof of action. You can do things with those mining assets. You can do things with the Arlink Studio. When you can do that, now you can trade that true value anywhere electronically and in a trustless blockchain environment. So I love this. I want you to see this vision. It is so cool what we're building, and go out there and tell people about this. It's going to be big, and we are building it.
Amazing, John. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to be a part of this as well, buddy. Anne has asked, are we protected in the Connect blockchain structure from the quantum computing?
Oh, these are such good questions. Yes. So there is a concept called quantum resistance encoding. Okay. And quantum resistance encoding uses certain algorithms that make it even harder for a quantum computer to attack our encryption. So right now we usually use 256-bit encryption to generate the private and public key. Okay. And a quantum computer uses a system called qubits. So normally you just have binary bits, a 0 and a 1. And the fastest supercomputers right now are limited because it's how fast they can go between zeros and ones and switch and switch and switch, and then take that data and process that binary 0-1 data. A quantum computer takes parallel processing ability. So every new qubit you add to the processor, parallel and exponentially adds their processing capability. So you could feed something into a supercomputer, and they've already done this at high level, that would normally take the world, a quantum computer, that would normally take the world's biggest supercomputers years to solve, and a quantum computer can solve it in mere minutes or even seconds sometimes, because it can take that and parallel process it. You should Google this. This is the homework assignment after today's meeting. Google quantum computing and quantum encryption. So to answer your question, yes, we are building quantum resistive encoding into our blockchains so that if someone comes out with and builds a super quantum computer, they can't just load our blockchain in there and immediately have the private keys of all of us, which are encrypted asymmetrically because we've put in resistive encoding. So yes, that's one thing that we've done.
Fabulous, John. That has been so amazing. Thank you very much. There was kind of a few questions around just the commission structures again but you pretty much answered that with the first answer with Andrew's question in that. But all of the other questions, that brings us to the end of the questions is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely brilliant, John. Thank you so much for your time. We all appreciate everything you do. Is there any last things that you would like to say or leave everybody with that you think is also important for them to know around this space?
Sure. I live and breathe this, as you can tell. So, and the more I get into it, and I'm a human, the more I get into it, the more I love it, because I'll end with what I started with. Everything, the builders of these communities, I use this, I think, in Puerto Rico. When our Link LLC, before it was really a DAO, was formed by two people, Wright and Tony, it was a normal company and they had control. Why I love this is they, along with all of us, are recognizing that the true power in building this world-changing, bartering, trustless system with true exchange of value, that I don't have to rely on the power of the US dollar and the government, the true value of what we're doing. And I see it day to day in the developers and in the business leaders and in the top sales reps, in you guys. We're decentralizing. That's what I'm going to end with. That's what I started with. We are decentralizing, and there's so much power in that, because then we all become individual actors. We control our own stuff. We control our own data. We control our own products. We don't have to rely on others. And when you take that concept of decentralizing that, you can build really cool things. And that's what we're doing. And I live and breathe it. And it's so cool. I get to see it every second. And so I want you to feel that as you go out and talk to others. What we're building is a decentralized system. Who cares about what the tokens are doing right now? As this system grows, the value will be in the system. So there you go.
Amazing, John. Thank you. Really appreciate you and everything that you do and your team, because I know you don't do it on your own. And thank you very much for sparing us the time. And you go and enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll head into our Saturday, starting off our Saturday here, John. So thanks again. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I will keep you posted on our next series of calls. I actually think we've got Green coming up next, John. So that's exciting. Very all right.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.